Everything has a realistic take to it. And this always has to have some element of mythology in it. So we like to show, to feel, even though it's supernatural, that these things could happen.
Disappearing cities, disappearing colonies, disappearing communities have certainly captured people's imagination, and there are examples of this going back all the way to classical times.
The lost colony of Roanoke is probably the granddaddy of all American urban legends. It's been around for 400 years, and it's always fascinated me.
I remember in 5th grade, being, oh, that's so cool, a vanishing colony, it's like a historical ghost story. And so, I was always enamored with it.
People's imagination run wild with the thoughts of what could have happened to these people at Roanoke.
Roanoke was one of the first English colonies in America, late 1500s.
The only thing they left behind was a single word carved in the tree, Croatoan.
Yeah. And there were theories, Indian raid, disease, but nobody knows what really happened. They were all just gone and wiped out overnight.
The first group of English to land at this place called Roanoke actually arrived in 1584. It was really an exploring party, and so this sets up really the famous colonization of Roanoke, which happens in 1587, when a large group of about, depending on the document, 119 or 121 people come over from England and go. Among them is this man, John White, who'd been there in 1585, who is now coming back, and he's going to be the governor of the colony. And they're going to create a city, the city of Raleigh, on Roanoke, and this is going to be a fort, basically, and they're going to live there, and they're going to stay there. And as the summer comes to its end, it's fairly clear that these colonists understand that they need more supplies from England. And so he leaves in 1587 with the idea that he will be back the next year. Well, here's where history intervenes. White goes back to England, and in 1588, tensions between England and Spain explode in an event that we now speak of as the Spanish Armada, the arrival of the greatest fleet in the world coming to England to invade England in 1588. Meanwhile, we can just imagine poor John White is in England knowing he's not going to be able to get a ship over there in 1588 because everybody's busy, so he makes it back in 1590. And when the English come back to resupply Roanoke in 1590, they go to the city of Raleigh, they go to this little post, and there's no one there.
There's no one. Not anywhere. They've all just vanished.
It was a thriving colony one moment, the next moment, everybody's gone. The only thing that they leave is a rather cryptic inscription on a tree that says Croatoan. But of course, nobody knows really when that inscription was made. That could have been made much earlier on. There's nothing that necessarily suggests that the last person leaving the colony inscribed that on the tree. But of course, narratives can make use of these little clues and put them together in such a way that you can make a convincing story, or at least a believable story.
No one has ever figured out what happened to them. It's always been fascinating to me. I've heard many weird theories over the years, everything from America's first alien abduction to a tsunami to disease to, of course, the obvious was that they were wiped out by Native Americans.
I think they either ran out of food and went to the Indian tribe for help, and something bad happened along the way, or there was an Indian raid and something bad happened to them, and then the survivors wrote Croatoan to tell them, that's what happened.
I think that today people are interested in it because this is a genuine mystery. This is something about the past for which we have not found an answer, and in all likelihood, we'll never find an answer.